Imagine, if you will, the year is 2009, and I told you that in the future, the live-action feature film debut of Aquaman would outperform a movie with the first live-action team-up of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman fighting side by side. You'd probably think I'd be nuts, or you might have just been exposed to the Snyderverse. It is incredibly strange that such an absurd concept has become fact in our reality, but I would argue it is more of a testament to the creative team working with James Wan than the excuse of studio meddling when it came to Zack Snyder's takes on these characters. Since Marvel Studios moved in down the street, Aquaman has been the only DC property within their core universe to cross $1 billion and cause Marvel Studios to consider another player on the field. But history has shown us that the real problem Marvel had to face came not from outside, but from within. However, this isn't about Marvel. This is about Aquaman, the first DC film in the Snyderverse that audiences actually saw more than once, and also the last character from the Snyderverse that sees the light of day. While Warner Brothers did have success with Todd Phillips' Joker, that is apples to oranges when it comes to a shared universe. So the question on everyone's mind is, was James Wan able to make a movie people wanted to see over and over again with Aquaman 2 and The Lost Kingdom? The story starts with a narration from Arthur Curry catching us up from the events of the previous film. He's a king, he's a husband, he's a dad. That's about it. Elsewhere, Black Manta is searching for technology to repair his supersuit so he can continue his revenge plot against Aquaman. Randall Park also crossed the street from Marvel to join DC playing Dr. Shin, a scientist helping Black Manta with his quest. They discover a ton of ancient Atlantean technology along with a black trident that has possessed Black Manta, giving him knowledge and power to accomplish his goal. But this knowledge and power comes with a price. Black Manta must free the trapped soul of an ancient ruler of a lost kingdom. Using this technology, Black Manta covertly steals an abandoned power source to pollute the environment, creating an increase in global temperature so as to weaken the prison holding this trapped ruler. We are told the effects of this scheme is harming the surface world and the ocean kingdoms, and Aquaman's efforts to convince a council to reveal themselves to the surface and join forces to fight this disaster are met with fear and conjecture. That attitude starts to change when Black Manta is caught stealing more of this power source from Atlantis, creating a great deal of destruction and injuring Mera. This causes Aquaman to hunt down Black Manta and stop his evil plan, but he can't do this alone. He needs his brother Orm, the Ocean Master, to help, because Patrick Wilson is a better actor and also looks more like Aquaman than the main man Momoa. We get a subplot of Aquaman breaking out Orm from his desert prison and the two of them traveling to Skull Island to find Black Manta and stop his plan. Things go awry. Orm, by way of grabbing the Black Trident, learns where Black Manta is headed and what method he plans to use to free the imprisoned ruler. This takes us to Arthur's son being kidnapped, as it is revealed that only the bloodline of the one true king can free this monstrous ruler from his eternal prison. This part confuses me because what is the point of warming the planet if the only obstacle to free this evil ruler is the blood of Aquaman or his child? It seems like a conflict of ideas and clarity for the sake of addressing a political discussion. It is supposed to be a story, not a public service announcement. With that aside, Aquaman, Orm, and a few other leaders of the Ocean Kingdoms unite to stop Manta and his forces. After stopping Black Manta and killing the evil king, Aquaman convinces the council to reveal themselves to the surface world, offering help and friendship to solve this global climate crisis. While the plot is something to be desired, there is a certain charm to this movie. Patrick Wilson elevates the film with his presence, and the brotherly dynamic that he and Jason explore is quite relatable to anyone with siblings. There is a moment in the film where Aquaman convinces Orm that cockroaches are food for surface dwellers and tricks Orm into eating one, much like an older brother would trick their younger brother into eating a mud pie. Others are welcome to infer this as some sort of agenda-preaching idea, but given the context of the relationship between these two, it is far more of a status game on who is better than the other and less "this is good for society" messaging. The movie plays around with a very easy-to-appreciate theme: family, and the connection and love between parents, children, and siblings. This is an internal engine for Aquaman that motivates him from one plot point to the other. However, in an effort to try and hit a minimum runtime, the simple plot of stopping Black Manta takes a couple of detours to distance itself from the ending. We have a Skull Island sequence, the aquatic cantina sequence with a surprisingly fun cameo of Martin Short doing a fish version of Jiminy Glick.
Now, do you think that urinal dividers take the fun out of urinals?
And then we're into the climax. The editing between these sequences is rather jarring, as the segues are not very effective or fluid for a movie that takes place mostly underwater. With the final edit, you can clearly tell which types of scenes were rewritten and reshot. It would not surprise me in the least when Aquaman discusses breaking Orm out of his desert prison that he would have initially asked Batman to do it so as not to compromise a treaty between Atlantis and the other kingdoms. After seeing this movie, I think such a cameo would have given the film a little bit more of a boost for audience interest than what is currently being seen. However, one thing that really helped the first Aquaman was how it distanced itself as far as it could from the rest of the Snyderverse, and I would argue that is probably why it was successful in the first place, so maintaining that rule in the sequel feels like a stronger choice. Thankfully, that is what James Wan did here, as there is not really any indication that this is technically connected to a larger universe that has already failed with audiences. That being said, Aquaman 2 isn't a great movie, but it isn't an offensive film either. Despite the actor playing Mera, it is probably the best DC film you will have seen over the last few years. Thankfully, with this movie, we have seen the very last of these characters being hijacked by the Snyderverse. While I'm disappointed that James Wan has to be the director to suffer as a result of the terrible vision brought before him, at least we can all rejoice that it is finally over. Hopefully, the next stewards of these heroes at DC live by the most important lesson of storytelling. Never forget, it all starts with the script.